So welcome, you are at the Undergraduate Research and Research Scholarship session. Today we have three of us who work in the Office of Academic Enrichment Programs, which is an office that's designed to support all students who are interested in pursuing research opportunities. We have a range of programs that we offer specifically through our offices and opportunities, but also we're here for all students at UC San Diego as a resource. So my name is Tyler Rogers, and I'm one of the program coordinators. And I'll turn it over to my two colleagues who will also introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, future Tritons. My name is Sophia Tsai, and I work as the Research Scholarships Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Marie Shinneman, and I am the Assistant Coordinator for one of the programs, the Mcnair program. Tyler, take it away.
Thanks. So yes, we're just three of our wonderful team that's here. We have our photos here, just so you know who we are and that we're friendly and not too scary, so you can reach out to us. So that we can get a better sense of who's in the audience, we know that there's many prospective students. Could you use the raise hand feature in Zoom if you're a prospective student? Okay, great. So I see a lot of hands. Wonderful. And also, could you use the raise hand feature if you're a family member or a loved one of a prospective student? Okay, great. We've got some hands there too. All right. So, you know, we're really excited to share some more information about this topic, just so that you're aware as you're making your decisions, applying to various universities, and just knowing the wealth of resources that we have available here at UC San Diego. So to get started, we're going to start talking more generally about what research is, how undergraduate research functions at UC San Diego. And then as we go along during our time together today, we're going to talk more about the specific programs and opportunities that we offer. So we think generally about what is research. Many of you might already have a sense of what research is and how you define it. But in general, what we define it as is a detailed study of a specific problem, a topic, concern, or an issue, and it's usually centered around a specific question. So you're trying to answer a question, respond to something that you would like to improve upon. So in some cases, a research project might be discovering new ideas or information. You might be discovering a new protein that hasn't been studied before. You might be really developing some new knowledge. In many cases as well, and just as importantly, research can be building upon existing information. So really putting your ideas in conversation with an existing and ongoing conversation in a particular area of study. And we really love this quote that comes from Zora Neale Hurston, who's a 20th century American novelist and anthropologist, who wrote that research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. So in many ways, that really encompasses the fullness of what research is, regardless of which specific area or field of study you're working in. So just generally to give a sort of definition here of what we're talking about. So when thinking about your college experience, a lot of times you think about, well, why do research, right? And in many ways, what research is it allows for you to pivot, thinking about yourself and your identity as a student. Not only are you a consumer of knowledge, so not only are you taking courses and demonstrating your growth and your familiarity and your comfort with the topic, you're not only consuming knowledge, but you're also creating knowledge. And so really that's what the value is in that pivot towards thinking of yourself as a researcher, as a scholar. So when we think about why do research, right? Research is all about creating and sharing knowledge. Again, that's really important. It's also about building relationships with mentors. So at the core of all of our programs is the idea of building a relationship with a faculty mentor, a professor, somebody who teaches on campus, who's really a great, it can be a great resource for you as you're thinking about figuring out your own path, not only through college, but also beyond college. So mentorship is a really core piece of this too, and we'll talk a little bit more later as we go along about how you can start to identify a possible professor who could be a mentor to you. Another reason for doing research is getting paid or receiving academic credit. In many cases, our programs offer either a research stipend or a scholarship, or in some cases, we also offer independent study credit. So it's a great way to continue along in your academic progress and also doing something that you're really passionate about. Of course, you're just in the process of thinking about your college experience, so it might seem a little bit early, but research is also a really great way to prepare for graduate study if you're interested in pursuing higher education after college. So if you're interested in pursuing a research-based doctoral program, if you're interested in going to medical school or law school, really any of these sorts of post-baccalaureate opportunities are a real incentive to do research for yourself as an undergraduate student as well. Alongside that, just more generally, you gain critical thinking and communication skills through research, skills that are so important no matter what your long-term goals are, your career path. Definitely building community with peers. So thinking about, you know, that you're not doing any of your work in isolation, but that it's really a way of connecting and building those relationships with others and understanding a sense of intellectual community through your research as well. Traveling to conferences is certainly an incentive to do research. Of course, right now, a lot of our travel is virtual. So, you know, it might not mean getting on a plane in the immediate future to travel to a conference, but either way, it's just conferences are a wonderful opportunity to get that public speaking experience, to share your skills and your knowledge. So thinking about that as maybe a goal that you might have in the next few years of, I would love to do a research project and then also in turn present that research at a conference in some capacity. Again, the practicing public speaking, and also going back to that building community piece, developing a broad professional network of people who can identify opportunities not only for you to leverage, but also that you might share with your communities and your peers who could also be in a position to leverage that. So those are just some general things about if you're not yet decided on why should I do research, or if you're not really sure how this would look, gives a sense of the broad sets of skills that you'd be developing. I also want to mention as we go along, please do feel free, you can go, as we're speaking today, submitting questions in the question and answer box, and we'd be happy to answer those as we go along. We'll also have plenty of time at the end for Q&A, so please do use the Q&A feature. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions of us as panelists. We'd be happy to discuss those. So moving along, not only why should you do research, but who should do research? And again, this is a very simple answer in some ways. Everybody should do research. Really, if it's something that you're passionate about, if you want to take advantage of that opportunity, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to support you in pursuing. More specifically, there are research opportunities available for students in any field of study across all your years as a UC San Diego student. And regardless of citizenship status. So we do have opportunities that are open not only to US citizens and permanent residents, but also to undocumented students and to international students. So just keep that in mind that, you know, if you have questions about eligibility, you can look more in depth into our specific programs that we'll be speaking about, but ultimately everybody has opportunities available to them in some capacity. We've had a range of projects and scholars that have participated in our programs. Just some examples of the vast and far-ranging projects include analyzing impacts of healthcare disparities upon Black women, body movement and dance, molecular basis of Alzheimer's disease, writing experimental poetry, aerodynamics of a plane wing based on stingray physiology, movement abilities of preschoolers who were born premature, and Latinx families' role in nourishing resilience. So as you can see, this is just a small sliver of the vast range of projects that students have done just in the past couple of years alone. Really, there's, you know, laboratory research is absolutely available to students who are interested, and you know, we pride ourselves on having a vast array of laboratory research experiences available. But, you know, we encourage students to think about research happens really anywhere where you bring that intellectual curiosity. So as you can see, there's projects coming out of performance studies, out of literature, out of the humanities and social sciences. So really, if you can dream up a project that you're interested in doing, we're here to support that. So then comes that question, okay, so then how do I dream up that topic of something that I'm interested in doing? You know, maybe at this point you already have experience at the high school level or the community college level of doing this kind of project or of an independent initiative that you take on that you're really driven by, or maybe you're still in the process of identifying things that you might be interested in researching. So we offer a lot of questions to then get you in turn to ask your own research question. So when it comes to this, how do I pick a topic? You can think about things like what excites you the most, right? What really kind of motivates you and makes you feel intellectually excited in some kind of way. Conversely, what makes you angry, or what would you like to change? A lot of really important research comes out of that question about, here's something I see, whether it's disease or inequity in society or something that needs improvement, and I would like to change that for the better. What would you like to create, right? Thinking about research as a creative endeavor, certainly in a field like engineering or as even in a field like poetry, right? There's a lot of room for creativity, and that can also link up with things that excite you or things that make you angry and that you would like to change. What would you like to spend your time doing, right? So thinking about potentially if this is something that you're interested in, research can actually become a really valuable part of your co-curricular experiences, so that it could be something that alongside your coursework and other sorts of communities and activities that you're involved in on campus, research could also be something that you devote a lot of your time to and could be really exciting for you. Also thinking about major trends in a particular field, so whether that's in academia, in a particular industry, or in the media, something that's really interesting and that you have something to say, you have a perspective on. And you know, with a lot of these questions, what really can help to spark an idea is by having conversations with people who you think of as sort of your intellectual community, right? So whether that's people in your family, your friends, teachers that you might have right now, teachers from the past, community members, whatever it might be, you know, it might be an opportunity to reflect on, oh, if I were going to do some sort of project where I really spent a lot of time thinking about something, analyzing something, you know, what might that be? And might it reflect a major trend that's happening right now in society? Also, another great starting point is thinking about what you have been studying in particular classes. So you can think about this in any courses that you might be taking now, and or in the future, you know, should you be, you know, a Triton, you know, to think about, oh, here's a really wonderful class that I took, and we talked about this topic, but we were only able to get in depth about it for a few days or a week, and I really want to revisit that. So that can be really wonderful inspiration as well for getting started on your own project. So in connection with that process of identifying a topic is also the process of identifying a mentor. And when you think about mentorship, mentorship is a really important and multifaceted word because it's not only somebody who advises you about things like, oh, what classes should I take, or how do I meet all of my graduation requirements? A mentor is really somebody who is interested in you and your journey in all of its aspects, right? So somebody who can speak to, you know, not only the sort of content of what you might be studying, but also about opportunities that you could leverage down the road, about sort of you and your health and your growth and journey, right? So it's really important to think about identifying not only a mentor, but potentially multiple mentors who sort of speak to different pieces of who you are, of what you're interested in, and that can really play an integral role in your journey through and beyond UC San Diego. So again, this might be a little bit preliminary, but we encourage students to start thinking about this even before they arrive to campus, to think about once you get to campus, how can you already have a plan in mind for identifying potential mentors, right? So one of the easiest ways to do this is by reaching out to professors with whom you have taken courses or with whom you're currently taking courses during that quarter or summer, whatever it may be. And one of the easiest ways to do this is by going to a professor's office hours, which is essentially just where a professor makes themselves available, often sort of by appointment. You might email them, you might sign up using some link online or in some portal. And it's just a time where you can drop in and ask questions of a professor. They don't even necessarily have to be related to the course or to you know, what's coming up on the next exam. It could just be, I'm really interested in what you teach, and could you tell me why you got interested in this? You know, how do I start to pursue this? This is something that draws me as well. Do you have any recommendations? You'll find, you know, it's like having a conversation with any person. I think in some cases, we might think of professors at universities as being intimidating to approach, but in most cases, people have chosen this career path because they're really drawn to working with students. And so you can think about how excited they'll be for you to reach out and to have those kinds of conversations. Right now, of course, in the recent and ongoing situation with the pandemic, most office hours have moved into a virtual format, often via Zoom or other sorts of phone or video calls. And in some cases, that actually makes professors more accessible depending upon the situation. So, you don't have to wait until, you have the perfect, ideal opportunity to sort of knock on a professor's door. You can also reach out to people in a virtual context and try to establish that relationship as well. Now, even if you haven't taken a course with a professor, you can also think about searching a course catalog, departmental websites, thinking about maybe courses that you would like to teach courses that you would like to take in the near future and who teaches those courses, because that can also be a really nice way of finding that alignment, right? Maybe you're interested in addressing climate change and you haven't yet been able to take a course that is in that area of study, but you go through the websites, you go through the course catalog where all the courses are listed, and you say, oh, look, here's a professor who actually teaches in that area. Maybe even though I haven't taken a course with them yet, I can reach out, introduce myself, and express, oh, would you be available to meet at some point? We can chat and connect about this. We also have a great deal of very useful virtual tools, which include the Research Experience and Applied Learning Portal and Handshake. So both of these, I have the URLs here on our presentation. This is a great way to go to these websites and search for faculty members who are working in fields related to your interests. I think in both cases, these require you to have UC San Diego student credentials to log into those portals. So it might be too preliminary at this point if you're not yet a UC San Diego student to access those, but just to keep in mind that they are tools that are available to you in addition to sort of other websites and things to start identifying, okay, here are some examples of projects or job opportunities that particular professors are working on. Maybe that's another starting point to identify who could be a good mentor for me. So again, these are just a range of strategies and tips that we suggest that students consider. Once you've identified a possible mentor, the best way, again, to establish that connection is to reach out via email, introduce yourself, explain your research interests in relationship to their work, and request whether they would be willing to further discuss the possibility of serving as a mentor. So just to give them, in a professional and polite tone, introduce yourself, explain that you see this point of overlap and that you're really interested in seeing whether that could lead into some sort of ongoing possibility or building a mentorship relationship with them. So it's just a good practice to get into of thinking about how you might begin that process. And again, just another reminder, faculty members certainly are busy, like many people, and sometimes they might seem intimidating to approach, but more often than not, they're very enthusiastic to meet scholars who share their intellectual interests, right? So just thinking about that, not only the intimidation factor or that difficulty of reaching out, but also the benefits and the payoff it can really have in establishing those sorts of relationships. So again, these are some things to think about more in a long-term sense, but just to know that, in joining our campus community, that you're also joining a community of faculty and staff who are really eager to see you succeed. And so don't wait too long to reach out and start to build those relationships. So now I will turn it over to my colleague, Sophia, who will talk to you more about our specific opportunities available through AEP. And also, as we mentioned, feel free to continue submitting questions. We'll be happy to take them as we go along, and then also we'll have plenty of time at the end. So thanks. I'll turn it over to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Tyler. So as you can see here on the slide, there are many different opportunities through our department academic enrichment programs. And we do take students from all different years, all different class standings. And so some of them are based in academic year and others are also during the summer. And so I'll tell you more about that in just a minute, but it does show you kind of a range of things. And so even if you're an incoming freshman or if you're an incoming transfer student, we have opportunities available to you that you can apply to. Next slide, please. And so breaking it down a little bit more, during the academic year, we do have a number of programs. CAMP is one that specifically is looking for students that are in minority areas in STEM. And so it's supported by the National Science Foundation. The Mcnair Scholars Program is a program for low-income first-generation students or underrepresented students to participate. And it's both an academic year program as well as a summer program. And as I mentioned earlier with CAMP, actually, it's also a summer program. So they have both academic year and summer components. TRELS also similarly also has both academic year, so it's quarterly where you can apply to get paid to do research during the academic year as well as during the summer. And so TRELS would offer $1,000 per quarter during the academic year and a $5,000 stipend during the summer. The Faculty Mentor Program is a program where you can get credit. And so whether you have undergrad credit, 99 independent study credit, or 199 upper division independent study credit, every department offers this, and we help students in the Faculty Mentor Program to also learn how to write a research proposal, a research paper, and you end up presenting your research at the end in a symposium, a poster format. And so you get to work with both the science or the research communication side of things, as well as doing the actual research as part of this program. And many of these programs have many more options and benefits in addition to just you get a stipend or you just get credit. And so each of the programs do have slightly different takes on it, and many of the programs do have similarities too. In the summer, we have a number of programs that are part of our summer research program. And so as I mentioned, California Alliance for Minority Participation, CAMP, has a summer component, as does Mcnair and TRELS. We also have additional programs that are supporting other types of students. Genentech Scholars Program is looking for students who have had challenges in terms of getting involved in research. And so Genentech is looking to support students in more of the biotechnology or life science area. The UC Scholars Program is actually funded by our own department and is open to every single UC San Diego student. And so all different majors, all different citizenship backgrounds, it doesn't matter, you can apply and be part of the UC Scholars Program. This program is looking for students that are looking to get advanced study beyond a bachelor, so maybe more of a PhD or master's type focus, or MD PhD, joint programs, that sort of thing. And then the URS program, the Undergraduate Research Scholarships Program, is a $5,000 scholarship that can award you to do full-time research in the summer. And so we have a number of different programs, and they all have a bunch of different benefits. And so I do highly recommend that you check out our website, aep.ucsd.edu, to learn a little bit more about these different programs. Next screen, please. And so we also do a number of research conferences held by AEP at UC San Diego. I want to tell you a little bit more about those. And so these are all hosted by our department, Academic Enrichment Programs, and students get a chance to present their research to their peers, to their mentors, to family and friends. Many times we have people come by and support their students. And so that's really great to have family members and really close friends attend to see them present. So the Undergraduate Research Conference is held every spring, known as the URC, and students are nominated by faculty members to participate in this. So each faculty can nominate up to their top 3 students, and we end up with a few hundred students that present at this conference every year. The Faculty Mentor Program, as I mentioned earlier, includes both the Mcnair program and FMP students, and they have a symposium, a poster symposium, where students get to present their research also in the spring, usually in late May, kind of at the end of the school year, after 2 quarters of research, winter and spring quarters. The Summer Research Program, SRC, is open to all students doing research in the San Diego region. And so it's not even just limited to UCSD students, but students that are at San Diego State, CSU San Marcos. We get students from Orange County sometimes participating, Cal States, all up and down California. And so we end up with lots and lots of students. And some students are coming from other universities to do research here in the San Diego region. And so we celebrate that. And this year we had over 320 students presenting virtually in our summer research conference just a few weeks ago. So we have lots of different opportunities for those types of research. But in addition to regular, what you might think of as research in terms of STEM, we also want to celebrate research that happens in the arts, social sciences, and humanities. We celebrate that in CRASH, and we often host multiple sessions throughout the academic year and summer so that students in these areas get to highlight what they get to do. We don't often talk about them as much in terms of research per se, but we do really believe in the research that happens, and there's really wonderful things that happen. And so I highly recommend if you can come to Crash, you can certainly participate. And actually most of these conferences that we host through our office are open to the public. And so you can come even if you're not part of UCSD, and you can hear about what's going on. And then of course, many students are interested in medical school or pharmacy school. And so we have a conference that's specialized just for that area called MEDS. And this is the Medical Education for Diverse Students. And we support students that are community college students nearby, as well as UC San Diego students to just get more hands-on experience. I think there's a suturing lab that happens and many more interactive things so that students get an idea of what medical school is like, what it's like to apply to medical school, and to learn about, you know, medical and pharmacy school applications, the whole gamut. And so it's worth coming to visit the MEDS conference and learning much more about what is offered there. Next slide, please. And so beyond the UC San Diego conferences that our department hosts, there's a number of local, regional, and national conferences that we support students to travel to. And so we tell students all the time about these different conferences, and we do encourage our students to participate. We actually have a travel award that we offer to our students, up to $500 per year, where they can attend some of these different conferences. And so in the fall, we have conferences like the Society for Advancement of Chicanos, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Science, SACNAS. And this is an undergraduate and grad students participate in this one as well. I believe in this fall, it's happening virtually as well, usually hosted by a particular university around the country. And so this particular one will be virtual. We also have the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, NCUR. This also travels around the country, and students participate in this pretty often every year. Harvard actually hosts a student-run conference called the National Collegiate Research Conference, and many students throughout the years have participated in this, and it's open to all different fields, and students get to participate by traveling over to Harvard and doing a poster session. A few select students actually get to be selected as plenary speakers at this conference as well. And so this is an example. The picture that you see here is from students that went just last year to the annual Biomedical Research Conference for minority students, ABRCAMS, and last year was held in Anaheim. So there's lots of different ways to participate and to have your research shown to many other people around the country. Next slide, please. In addition, our office also does more things beyond the research. We also have these national competitive scholarships that we like to tell students about and help you prepare for, so that you can be one of those nationwide recognized scholars. A lot of these come with financial awards. Sometimes it actually even helps you with graduate study, whether it's here in the US or in another country. But this is a listing of some of the different scholarships that we host. Famous ones like the Barry Goldwater Scholarship, the Rhodes Scholarship, the Churchill Scholarship. There's so many out there. The NSF Graduate Research Fellowship is one that I think about 20 students per year from our department usually win. And so it's a pretty popular one. And it's not impossible for you, any of you, to potentially be our next Strauss Scholar, our next Mitchell Scholar, because our students are winning these nationally competitive ones. Even if they only select 10 or 20 students in the whole nation, we have amazing students at UC San Diego, and we definitely have our students chosen for these. So please come talk to us if you're interested in this. It's an umbrella term, NCS, to classify all these different scholarships, but we can help you apply and hopefully win. Next slide. And so I think that kind of concludes our talk early, but we do want to have any questions answered. If you would like, please submit them through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And I know it usually takes a minute for people to think about questions or to type them in, but we're happy to help answer any questions you have with regards to getting involved in research, what sort of programs we offer through our department or even through UCSD in general. So please, yeah, put some questions in. We'd love to hear from you.
And I think while we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll actually pose a question to ourselves that I think comes up frequently, especially during this time right now, which is for us to explain a little bit more about how our remote research opportunities and programs have worked recently. So I'm certainly happy to get us started, but if you want to say a little bit about that first, Sophia, or if you want, sure.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. So we actually have had a very good participation this year for virtual research. Many of our students and mentors are happy to participate in it. And so we've ranged from things like data analysis, where students are taking the data that's being collected in the lab and then analyzing it at home. And so they don't have to actually physically be in the lab. Other students are doing things like literature searches or literature reviews, where they understand much more in depth about a very specific area of their area of interest. So those are a couple of different very common things that students are doing this summer, but I'll leave it open to Tyler and Marie to add on to that.
Yeah, I think that gets to the core of it. You know, just to know, you know, of course, we all hope that we'll be able to return to full in-person life on campus as soon as possible. But just in the meantime, you know, that to know that we have not at all slowed down our pace in terms of our offerings. And, you know, if anything, students and faculty are still very eager to continue this work in a remote capacity, as Sophia said. We've also moved a lot of our programming. I mean, in the same way that we're doing this webinar online right now, we just concluded our summer research program and offered a variety of our resource workshops in a similar format in different virtual settings. You know, so we're still very intent on sharing resources and knowledge and not letting the current constraints sort of hold back the pace of that. So just be aware that, you know, if you're interested in this, whether, you know, you're a current student considering it or a prospective student or whatever the case may be, to know that we've been able to adapt during the pandemic. And yeah, and really it's about having conversations depending on your specific area of study. What does it look like to adjust into a sort of virtual format? As Sophia was saying, that might be analyzing existing scholarship in a field. It might be working with data that's already been collected. And there's also ways of collecting data virtually that we've seen, you know, students who might be doing a project that involves sending out surveys or, you know, analyzing documents that they can access virtually. You know, so just to keep in mind that that has been ongoing. And it looks like we have some questions coming in. So do you want to, oh, go ahead. Yeah, Sophia.
I just wanted to throw out one more point of pride. From my understanding, we at UC San Diego might be the only or one of the few universities in the UC system this summer to have allowed undergraduates to participate in research. And so I think that that shows how much excitement we have about undergrads participating in research here at UC San Diego, and the fact that our mentors have been super supportive of this. You know, they've been working with our students to find ways to adapt research for the summer so that we can have students participate. So that I think is kind of a unique thing that we were able to do this summer, and that I think shows how much undergrads are important to our research.
Okay, we do have 3 questions that have come in. What are the minimum requirements to be accepted in a research position? For example, I don't have any research experience. Can I still do a research program?
So the answer is yes, because how could you get experience if you didn't have the opportunity, right? So yes, absolutely. We certainly have, again, Sophia discussed the range of different programs. We really encourage you, if you're interested, spending some time on our website, again, which is aep.ucsd.edu. We've already put that in the chat as well, to just be familiar with sort of the range of options that, you know, depending on what you're studying or what class year you might be. But yes, there's no, you know, many of our programs actually are targeted towards students for whom this would be their first research experience. Certainly the TRELS program, as well as really a range of other opportunities. I know Sophia also mentioned the Genentech Scholars Program during the summer, right? So we're very mindful about questions of equity and making these opportunities accessible to students who might not have had opportunities to pursue research in the past. Some of the other requirements are around a sort of baseline GPA. And again, that varies a bit by program. Often, you know, when we talk about a sort of minimum GPA requirement for a program, if you're very close to that margin, we would still encourage you to apply, or at least to reach out and ask whether you'd be eligible. In some cases, you know, we are able to make slight exceptions if, you know, let's say a program has a 3.0 requirement and you're a 2.98, right? You might be right on that cusp, and you might, you know, have had circumstances, a very difficult quarter, or you might be on the verge of, you know, getting all A's the next quarter, right? So, so those are some of the major requirements that we think about in terms of sort of GPA, but even that, don't look at that as necessarily like an absolute cutoff. More so it's we're trying to make sure that our students are in a position to be able to take on the additional responsibility of a research position, you know, because in many cases, especially during the academic year, this is in addition to your other course load, or certainly during the summer, it's a huge time commitment. We want to make sure that students are in a strong place academically to be able to pursue that. So yes, what other questions do we have, Marie?
Can most undergraduate students interested in doing research find a position?
Do you want to take that one?
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. You go ahead, Sophia.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, we don't have exact numbers in terms of how many students try versus how many students get in. But to be honest, you don't always have to be part of a program to participate in research. You can always volunteer. If you stay with the lab long enough, sometimes if they have funding, faculty even also participate in paying their students, undergraduates. And so we do find that many of our students who are looking can eventually find an opportunity to do research, whether it is through one of our programs or directly with the faculty. And so I think the best thing is to reach out and ask. If you need help with that, AEP is always very willing to help. And so come talk to us. All of our staff members are well-versed in helping students find mentors. And so we can sit down with you, whether it's virtual or some other format on a phone call or something, and we can help you. We can talk to you about what sort of mentors you're looking for, what area you're interested in, and kind of help you hone in on what you want to express when you're reaching out to faculty. And sometimes you need to reach out to 3 or 5 or 10 different faculty before you get some answers. But if you do the right homework and you show that you're really interested, you will find a faculty that can work with you. Sometimes they're looking for students that have a little bit more experience. Some are open to brand new students that are first years. It really varies. But I think that we can help you with that. So if you're interested, come talk to us. You can certainly do it on your own too. It's up to however you feel, but I think we're happy to help if that's of interest to you.
Absolutely. And I think that that goes for incoming students as well. So, because there was also a question I see about how can we get to know a mentor if we are currently a community college student? So certainly we have plenty of examples of, you know, we want to support incoming transfer students to sort of be onboarded as quickly as possible, right? Recognizing that, you know, you're interested in pursuing these opportunities, and we don't want to delay anything, right? So certainly we have many examples right now of incoming students who are transferring from community college, and even before they arrive to campus, during the summer, we've been in contact with them, our office, to help them identify mentors. You certainly should feel empowered on your own to initiate that contact with a faculty mentor, you know, introduce yourself saying, you know, I'm an incoming student. I would love the opportunity to get to work with you in some capacity. So you don't have to feel like you need to wait until you're a current UC San Diego student to reach out. You know that, you know, in the same way that we're having this session now for prospective students that, you know, as an incoming student as well, you can reach out to our office or even directly to faculty with whom you might be interested in researching and collaborating.
And to add on to Tyler's comment, I think that actually community college students, even while you're currently in community college, sometimes do participate in research programs, especially in the summer here at UC San Diego. And so look for those programs. Maybe there's faculty that are specifically looking to support transfer students. And so if you reach out to them and show your interest, you can participate in research even if you're maybe not a UC San Diego student. And I know we're actually in the process, our department, in terms of applying to grants to try to support more transfer students coming in and doing research before they get here to UC San Diego. So keep an eye out for that. You know, we're not there yet in terms of being funded, but there's definitely interest and lots of different ways to be in touch. And also you might want to reach out to people at the Transfer Hub. There's a whole area department known just to support people that are transferring to UC San Diego. And so they can help you with different issues that you might be encountering, or supporting you in all different ways.
There are currently no more questions.
Do we have any more questions for each other while we give people another minute to come up with their own questions?
I have a couple we can.
Sure.
If I were a student, I would wonder, like, what is the time investment? What would be? Does anyone want to start that one?
Sure.
Yeah.
So again, that kind of answer does vary, but a lot of our programs are looking for, during the academic year, like a minimum 10 to 12 hour minimum investment per week. And so it's not quite a half-time job, but it is a part-time job where you do invest an amount of time significant so that you can make progress towards a project. And that can vary. You know, some students end up doing 20, 25 hours of research because they love it that much, and their project is one that they want to invest time into. And so this is what they do in addition to their classes. And so that will vary, but I think usually 10 to 12 hours during the academic year. And then the summer, a lot of times it is much more closer to full-time, 30, 40 hours per week.
Absolutely. And to say a little bit more about our summer programs, for the most part, all of our summer programs offer a research stipend, which, if you're not familiar, is essentially you're getting paid to do research. So the money that you're being paid through the program is not necessarily to support the materials and the resources that you'll need to do your project. Certainly, we have examples of students who will use the funds to help, you know, buy materials, technology, books. You know, certainly you're eligible to do that. But the money is really designed for you to pay your living expenses. So any bills that you might have, rent, food. The idea is that you're being a full-time paid researcher. And so in that case, during the summer, the programs are a full-time, you know, 30 to 40 hour a week commitment, because it's really cool that essentially, you know, maybe for the first time in your life, you're kind of being paid to be a scholar, right? So we like to, and that's in many cases, the ways that funding could work for if you were to apply to a graduate program or a fellowship or something of that sort. Certainly the National Competitive Scholarships programs that Sophia mentioned earlier. So just keep in mind that in some cases, especially with our summer programs, that stipend funding is designed to sort of be a substitute for other kinds of part-time work that you might have to pursue to support yourself financially. So it's a really great way too to think about, yes, it's a big time commitment, especially during the summer, but it sort of could take the place of other employment that you would normally have to pursue to support yourself. And that partly answers another question that just came in. Are there many paid internship opportunities that involve research available for UC San Diego students? So yes, again, our summer programs certainly offer that sort of funding support. There's also our Charles program during the academic year offers a $1,000 scholarship each quarter for which you are selected and participate. That's subject to your sort of, that goes through your financial aid package. So it's not available to you in a stipend in the same way during the summer. Essentially, you're getting a check as payment for that research that you're conducting. During the academic year, it's a little bit different. It sort of falls under the jurisdiction of your financial aid award. So it's a little bit different, but just be aware that yes, those opportunities are available. We also have some other really great offices. Again, you know, you can reach out to our office, not only in terms of our opportunities, but we're happy to direct students to other places across campus with paid research opportunities. We mentioned the Real portal and the Handshake portal, where a lot of opportunities are posted. There's really a range of different things across campus. We just represent, you know, sort of one cluster of opportunities and really a hub where we're happy to direct students to, you know, connecting them with other staff, other resources, other faculty on campus. But just know that what we shared today is certainly not the totality of paid internship and research kinds of opportunities at UC San Diego.
How will students be supported if funding comes up short?
So, yeah, you go ahead, Sophia.
Sure, no problem. So I think it depends kind of when that question is in regards to. If it's during the academic year, you do have financial aid packages. And so that's something that definitely is through the financial aid office. You'll want to submit a FAFSA and figure all that out. In the summers, we don't only have stipends, but we also usually have, it depends on the scholarship, but we may have some opportunities to help pay for your housing for the summer. And so that kind of helps alleviate some of the funds and fund restrictions. But I think those are kind of usually the answers that we go to is check out your financial aid during the academic year. And then potentially there might be additional benefits for the program that can help pay for things during the summer.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, again, it depends on the situation, right? Whether we're talking about sort of, urgent financial situation where, yes, the financial aid office would certainly be the people to talk to in terms of resolving those sorts of concerns. We also have a variety, and Sophia already mentioned this as well, we have a variety of funding opportunities for students to present at conferences. So let's say that, you're interested in pursuing your research and, but you wouldn't be able to present at a conference without getting some additional funds to cover registration fees, or, if you are traveling, in real life, not virtually, paying for travel, accommodations, those sorts of things. We also offer a range of opportunities through our office, and we can also help you to identify other opportunities across campus for those sorts of funding, conference funding opportunities. So that, if the funding is coming up short in that way, there's options available in that realm as well. Okay, so this is a really interesting question that's come in. Can you expand on the qualities to look for in a mentor and maybe some red flags to look out for? That's an excellent question. So I would say, so I'll get it started and then I'll turn it over. I would say that some good qualities to look for are maybe somebody who's responsive, somebody who doesn't necessarily mean that they email you back within 10 minutes, but somebody who is a good listener. You might be able to assess that, based on virtual communication, but also certainly sort of when you actually have a meeting, whether it's face-to-face or screen-to-screen, are they listening to you? Are they aware of sort of what your goals are and what your intellectual interests are, right? Sometimes it's also good if you do know of other students who work with this mentor. That can be a great opportunity to ask them, what their relationship has been like and sort of get a sense of the dynamics and how they sort of regard their students and what those relationships look like. So I would say those are some things to look out for in terms of identifying, who might be a good fit for you, right? It's not necessarily that there's a hierarchy of these are the best mentors and these are the worst mentors. In a lot of cases, it's really about that chemistry that you have with somebody. Are they a good, are your communication styles compatible? Do they understand where you're heading and, how they can be a support along that journey? Yeah, Sophia and Marie, what do you have to say to that? Excellent question.
Yes, definitely. A couple other things that come up for me when I'm thinking about mentors is what sort of style are you looking for in terms of mentorship? Do you want someone that's more hands-on, someone that kind of leads you step by step, or are you someone that kind of wants to give you a general picture and then you get to try it out and make all the mistakes and see what happens? Because every person is different what they're looking for, and some mentors are much more, I need to show you every step and you need to follow this precisely or this will not work. Or some people just want you to get that feeling and understanding of how it goes, and you get to stumble along your way to figure that out. And then also thinking not just about the mentor, but the overall experience in terms of research. So are you joining a group in your research, or is it really just one-on-one, you and your mentor? Is the group very big or is it small? Some research groups get to be 50 to 100 people, and that can be overwhelming for some people. And then other people really like, having a small group that's maybe 5 or 10 people, where you get to know those people just maybe more intimately than you would a larger group of 100. But it really varies, and much more is it like an intermediary number But I think thinking about those couple things about like the size of the group that you're joining, as well as potentially the amount of hands-on you want with your faculty or your research mentor is helpful to think about. Any other thoughts or questions? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's such a great point in terms of like the size and those dynamics too. And I would say also that, you know, in many cases we find that students, you know, you don't really know what works or doesn't work for you until you give it a try. So that's why we also encourage you to think about having multiple mentors, right? Not just sort of, you know, you might certainly have one mentor for one project, but even within that project, you might have other faculty or graduate students or postdoctoral scholars. There's a range of people on campus who represent the fullness and intellectual vibrancy of the university. And, you know, you can build relationships with a range of people and sort of start to get to know. If maybe you don't know what your preferred mentoring style is yet, right? And that's totally fine. You don't need to hold out and wait on the sidelines until you feel like you figured that out and you know exactly how you want to proceed. In some cases, you know, it depends on who you are and what your preferences are, but it can be really good to sort of jump in and see how it goes and then readjust and course correct as you go along. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we really encourage students, I think, and that speaks to the question that came in earlier as well about, you know, am I qualified to apply if I don't have experience? And right, the answer is of course, because that's how you start and that's how you get, and really all of you have transferable skills as researchers by virtue of the fact that you're students and that you've been doing this and you're committed to, you know, the sort of intellectual rigor of that. So I think it's important to have that confidence and to know that, yes, you will have, you know, you'll stumble along the way and you'll learn new things, but don't feel as though you need to have privately perfected everything before you can start to get involved. I think that we really encourage students, you know, at all stages of that journey to get involved however you can.
And one other thing to add on to that, a lot of times students ask me, I don't have any skills because I haven't participated in research before, but that's not true. You've taken classes. And so maybe you've taken a lab course, you've taken the basics of your major. And so whatever it is that you have learned in your courses can help you. And even if you're a freshman coming in, you will still have learning experiences from your high school classes. Maybe you've taken some APs or even college level classes. Any of that experience will help you. And even if you are brand new and you have zero experience and you know nothing, you still have communication skills that you've built up probably all of your life, soft skills that can be transferable from field to field. And so if you're good at communicating, that's important, you know, and so it doesn't matter what field you're in, these sorts of skills can come and be sort of your bolster as you're applying, so you can tell the faculty, this is what I bring, or I bring excitement, I bring really, you know, great interest in this. I've read so much about it because I love it. That's what you want to share with them because that's the kind of person they want to be as part of their research group. So do we have any other thoughts or questions that we could add on?
You know, it looks like, yeah, we have time for maybe one more question.
Sure, I'll read it out loud. Could you describe what a researcher's day would look like, particularly in the biomedical field? And so it will vary, of course. At least I'll start off, and if you feel like you can add on anything, either Marie or Tyler, please feel free. But it really depends, talking about which lab you're in, what kind of research that you're doing. But typically, if you're able to be in person in the lab, you would go in and you would probably check in with a mentor. And you might have a project that you're working on your own, or you might be helping them with particular tasks, depending on how much familiarity you may have with that particular task that you're working on. So maybe you're making gels, maybe you're helping them analyze some data, maybe you're looking at things under the microscope. It really depends on kind of what research you're doing and which lab you're part of. So it will vary, but I think that, you know, that will go on for a few hours. You might be doing some experiments and it's an on and off thing. I personally got a degree in what did I get a degree in? I got a degree in molecular biology. And so in my experience, a lot of the research is you do some work and then you wait for it to do what it needs to do. It might need to grow some cells. You might need to wait and have the data go through some equipment, some data analysis, some gas chromatography, or whatever it is that you're using. So you will be waiting in between as you're doing things, and you can be learning things in between. You can be doing homework. But there are some up times where you're busy, and other times where it's more downtime and you're just kind of chilling out, maybe talking to some people. So in-person research can be up and down. and I think as an undergrad, that will be part of what you do. Even as a grad student, that will be part of what you do. But it will vary, and I think that's the easiest answer to it. Any other things to add in, Tyler and Marie?
Well, I don't have anything to add except to say that this is also a really excellent question about, you know, what does a day of research look like in this lab or in this field or on this project? And that is a great question to bring to a potential mentor, right? And if you're starting to get interested in something, or whether it's joining them on a project that they've been working on collaboratively, or you have your own independent project to propose, really asking a potential mentor, you know, I'm interested in this field, and what does a day of research look like for us? That can also be a really great conversation starter, right? And get people, you know, just as Sophia was doing, kind of reflecting on, well, this is my personal experience, and this could be, you know, a way to find points of commonality.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for adding that.
So with that, we'll be wrapping up. We're at the end of our hour here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We're always really excited to share the range of opportunities we have. Our email contacts are here, as well as the main email contact for our office, as well as the website for our office, Academic Enrichment Programs. So yeah, we're really excited, hopefully, to have you join us at UC San Diego at some point in the near future. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks very much. Take care.